Bidu rubbed her hands in anticipation. The white-haired drag in front of her seemed to be desperate. "So let me get this straight," she said skeptically. "You are a wanderer samurai who got in trouble with the law, and now I'm supposed to help you." The boy fidgeted, and the woman laughed. "You got guts, kid." Beidou leaned back in her chair, hands behind her head as she thought carefully. After a minute of agonizing silence, she lunged forward. "Well, before I become a stowaway on my ship, fine." She held a hand out. "Welcome aboard." The boy smiled and thanked her. "Thank you, Captain Bidu." He bowed before her. "I have but one more thing that I need to deal with." The woman snorted. "Seriously?" "I was unsure of when you depart, and I wanted this to be dealt with before." Bidu shrugged. "Right. Well, we will be setting sails in 3 days. Be there." One last time the kid bowed before her, thanking her, before turning around and leaving the dingy pirate tavern. "One more thing," he repeated in his head. "One more person." He had his mind set on you. Luckily, the journey to and from you back to the port would take exactly 3 days. It was as if the gods themselves wanted him to see you one last time. You were sitting alone in your stone garden at night, watching as a group of fireflies danced above a crane statue that made up the centerpiece of the garden. Your eyes were closed as the peace and tranquility threatened to consume you in a loving embrace. That was until you heard a noise coming from the roof above you. Slowly you opened your eyes. No fear was in your heart, as it had been ripped out of you by your boyfriend's recent accusations. Yet when the intruder jumped down from the roof and revealed himself to you, all you could feel was an oblivion of happiness. You inhaled in shock. "Kazuha!" you exclaimed, your voice hoarse from a long period of silence. No words had left your mouth since his accusations, for you could not bear the sheer magnitude of them. He combed a few loose strands of hair out of his face and approached you. "My lady," he said, and got down on one knee before you. "I have dire news." You held out one of your hands and cupped it around his cheek. Instinctively, he leaned into it, closing his eyes, burning this tender moment into his mind. Your hand was so soft, so comforting. A comfort he felt he didn't deserve. You had met Kazuha many years ago. In fact, you had been childhood friends for so long, until he finally mustered up the courage to confess his feelings to you. It had been a magical day too, when the cherries blossomed, coating the world in a soft pink. You have replayed this memory in your head many times, desperately clinging to it, as if forgetting it would mean you'd lose a part of yourself. A part you didn't want to lose. To you, it represented innocence and romance. And you couldn't believe how people could have such a moment and such a feeling ever again. Just the thought of People throwing away all of their first moments for quick gratification was sickening to you. Are the rumors true? He asked quietly. Yes, he said, and revealed a fading electrovision to you as a tear ran down his face. There's a bounty on your head. You are a wanted man, you said. Still, you couldn't let go of him. Gently he took your hand. I wish it was different. You looked away. You didn't want him to see your tears. Why did you come here? I wanted to tell you things. Please. Finally, you let go of his face, only to bury it in your hands, trying to hide your tears. You looked away, heartbroken, but then sharply inhaled when suddenly you let yourself fall into him. He caught you and gently cradled you in his arms. I've signed up on a ship that is traveling to Lewd. You sniffled. I want you to come with me. Your eyes widened. Kazuha, you said, perplexed. I can't. You were a noble woman after all, the daughter of a shogun. You could not leave, even if you wanted. Your father surely would commit seppuku for your treason. And that sin you could not bear. You know I can't. His lips trembled. Of course, Kazuha knew that you would decline. But somewhere deep in his heart, he still hoped you'd say yes. Then he blushed. His heartbeat increased. And with a trembling voice he spoke. Then, grant me just one night with you. Your eyes widened at the thought. Kazuha, you said. You blushed hard and got up from him, allowing for the two of you to stand, and then wordlessly you went into your home. You just stood there, feeling dejected. But then you turned around and looked back at him. Are you coming or not? He gave you a pained smile before following you inside. Quietly you snuck through your estate into your private quarters. There, inside, you instantly fell into your lover's arms. At first exploring each other's bodies shyly. Soft touches, short, excited breaths. A feeling of pressure was building up behind your chest, and you could no longer take it. Moving your hands up from his hips to his gentle face, you pushed him onto your own, feeling his warm lips brush against yours. Both of you really had no idea of what to do, frankly, being too innocent and shy. Like a slow, methodical dance, you pushed each other onto your futon. Clumsily, you reached for the ribbon that was holding your kimono and unmade it. At the same time, you pressed your mouth further into his as you forced your tongue into his mouth. Strange. He tasted sweet, minty even. You suppressed a giggle. In expectation of this moment, he must have eaten mint jelly. You wondered what your mouth tasted like. He groaned as his tongue pushed past yours. Then you slowly began to undress each other. His hands were twitching, while yours were quite sweaty. Once both of you were freed from your clothes, his head moved down from your lips. You yelped as he nibbled on your neck, and you sighed deeply when one of his hands moved down to your shame. He gulped upon feeling its wetness on his fingers, and your heart almost burst with anticipation. Yet he stopped moving, only breathing heavily over your back. He stammered. He wanted to say something, but his carnal desires were taking over. Trying to contain your own excited yelps, you whispered, "It's okay," before letting him do what his instincts were demanding of him. After the deed was done, you had lied down next to him, one arm draped around his chest, feeling his movements. You had only eyes for each other. "I'm going to miss you," you whispered. "I'll miss you too," he answered. Your lips quivered as you rolled on top of him. Do you really have to go?" you cried, as your tears dropped onto his naked chest. He raised his body to meet yours, his arms wrapping around you. Feeling his warmth and soft skin made you feel weak, and you wanted to feel his protection. Resting his chin on your shoulder, he spoke in a melancholic tone. "I will have to leave Inazuma behind. I've sworn to protect my fallen friend's memory at all costs." His eyes darted towards his discarded belongings and then back to you. "I will keep his vision and protect it." Kazuha separated his head from your body and looked into your eyes. "And to protect you, I will have to leave." He sharply inhaled as you suddenly shoved your body into his chest, sobbing loudly as you begged him to stay, saying that you could keep him safe, crying for mercy to the Archons in vain. Kazuha let himself fall back on your futon. Gently he combed through your hair until you closed your eyes and fell asleep. You awoke in the early morning. Kazuha was absent like a fading dream. Immediately broke out into tears as you grabbed your blanket and threw it around your back, rushing into the entrance hall of your estate. Luckily he was still there, getting ready to leave. You didn't waste any second and jumped him, wrapping yourself around him. "Please," you cried in desperation. "Why couldn't you have waited?" With one hand he brushed over yours. They're in a tight lock over his belt. "I thought it would be less painful. I apologize." He turned around and with a gentle smile looked you up and down. "Kazuha," you said. Then he took your hands into his and kissed you on the knuckles. "Just one last touch," you begged. And he caved. Quickly his hands grabbed your hips, pushing you into him. His lips once again passionately pressing onto yours, while his hands moved up and down your back. And for a minute the only thing you heard were your wet, kissing sounds and your pounding heart. Your brain racing with thoughts from when you first met him, when he confessed to you, to last night, to now. A thin line of salvia connected your mouths as he separated. "Promise me one thing," you said quietly, but loud enough for him to hear. "One day, please, come back to me."